Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Isaiah with All Terrain Land Clearing and Brush Control. Hey, I'm gonna keep this video, try to keep it short and sweet, but there's some stuff I wanna kind of touch on about who we are as a company, what we do, and our process, and really what sets us apart from the competition here in Middle Tennessee. So first and foremost, we are just that. We're a brush clearing company. Our focus, our specialty, our niche is forestry mulching. So forestry mulching is a process in which there is a piece of equipment on tracks that has this big attachment on the front of it called a mulching head. And it comes through, let me show you here, and it just mulches everything down to a beautiful finish. Now, our customers call and ask, okay, why are you guys different in terms of forestry mulching? And what sets you apart? So let me first start by saying, look at our work that we're doing here. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. Everything is smooth. There's no stumps sticking up. It actually blends in right into the customer's yard. Just beautiful. So our process, our technique is different than I'm aware of anybody else in Middle Tennessee. We went through several different mulching heads to find the one that leaves the best finish. And then we started testing it over a couple months and making changes with different speeds and all kind of different things. Literally for 2 months, we just kept running this machine and getting a finer and finer mulch. And finally, we got it figured out through a combination of about 4 or 5 different things. So right off the bat, our mulching head is far different than anything you're going to buy right from the factory. We took the time, we got creative, we found out the changes that it needed, and we actually came up with our own setup that is much different. And what that results in is stuff that looks like this with 1 day's work. So here's what we started with, dense woods. In 1 day, here's what we gave them. Now from a video, this probably doesn't look, I'm sure it looks okay, but in person, this is absolutely perfectly smooth, graded out to the yard. Now, why this is important. We have customers call, and the first thing they'll ask is, what are your prices per hour or per day? And I know, no insult to any of the customers, I know they haven't done their homework. And the reason is this: the cheapest company does not save you money in the long run. And that's not a sales pitch. That's not anything. I'm going to give you some facts. There's a lot of other companies in Middle Tennessee that'll work cheaper than us, but they come in and they just knock stuff down, and you're left with stumps, you're left with big branches, you're left with big limbs. And the customer will say, well, it's okay, I just want a nice view from my house and I just want it knocked down. In theory, that sounds great, but let me tell you why this is going to cost you much more money in the long run. They come in with their equipment that is subpar and their technique that is subpar and their cheaper price, and they come in and they just knock it down, but there's still 4 or 5 inch stumps, huge branches, etc. What they don't tell the customer is, and we tell all of our customers this, at some point, this work behind me is going to have to be maintained. And by that, you won't get, trees growing back up through it or privet or, stuff like that, but you're going to get some green vegetation, some grass. It's Middle Tennessee. Anybody that tries to argue that is not telling you the truth. So these companies come in, knock this all out at affordable price, cheap price, and they're left with this. Well, when it needs to be maintained, when it needs to be mowed or bush hogged, you got 2 options there. When this is going to have to be somehow managed, might be months, years down the road. When they need that done, guess what? They can't get their mower in here. They can't get their tractor in here. So now what usually ends up happening is they go back to Google, they go back to the phone, they end up calling a company like us with our process, and we get it ground to look like this. Okay, so it's a lot to think about when you're just looking at bare bones price. I promise you, another company cannot come in and do this for a considerably reduced rate and give you the kind of finish that we're doing right here, which allows you to maintain it down the road. Whether we maintain it with a bush hog, a mower, you do, it's totally up to you. But at some point, you're going to have to to pay that price when you can't get in to the area that you just paid to have cleared. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm describing it right to you guys and making it clear. But essentially, there's no shortcuts. So it's either done right the first time, or you're going to have to pay later, unfortunately. But if you look here, I mean, this is almost like powder. There's no stump sticking up. There's no issues at all. The homeowner came home, was completely blown away. We tell them, get your riding mower out, ride it across here. Let us know what you think. You know, and that's what you can do with our work. And I say it with confidence. There's no one else in Middle Tennessee that's coming in here a day or two and turning this sort of ground into what we have here. Like I said, the mulching head that we had to test and change and reconfigure totally is what allowed us to do this. And that was done with a lot of trial and error. You cannot go buy a mulching head and do this in a day that we've, you know, this process that we're able to do. The other thing I want to talk about quickly is we've had customers that said, well, I'm not happy with forestry mulching. Do you have any other type of process to clear this ground? And we go look at the job, and it's the same thing. Forestry mulching was done incorrectly, stump sticking up, etc. So I want to explain a few things about when forestry mulching is done correctly. There's no material at all that was taken off this job site. So here to here, everything is in the ground, which is awesome. It fights erosion. You don't have the cost of hauling it off. You don't have the risk of burning. So it is by far, no matter what anybody says, the most efficient way to clear trees, I'd say 10 to 12 inches and under. Now, people's complaints were with stumps sticking up. You can see here, there's no stumps. So when this is done correctly, and with our mulching heads that, again, we changed around and got it to do this, when we mulch, the mulching head goes into the ground, cuts everything down, and leaves a thin dirt layer and I'd say 1 to 3 inches of mulch. Okay, why that's important is when it's done correctly is when mulch breaks down, you get organic matter mixed with it. It turns to what? Over time, if you leave a mulching pile, it turns to dirt. So you have essentially, once this breaks down, you have a dirt layer. Okay, so there might be a small stump 2-3 inches below the ground, inch below the ground, that will eventually turn to 2 or 3 inches. When all this breaks down, guess what? You have a thin layer of dirt. Well, grass seed only needs 1 to 3 inches of soil to grow. So basically what I'm saying is, if this is done right and done with our system, this is seed ready. Okay, now you can't come in immediately and seed, but this job that we just did for this couple, really nice couple, this is seed ready. Okay, now a lot of people say, well, I want to seed right away when you get done, or they will seed and the grass doesn't grow. I'll tell you why. All these chips that you see, they absorb nitrogen, and nitrogen is one of the key things that seed needs to germinate and grow. So the chips act like a sponge. They suck up all this nutrients, and over time it'll build back up, it'll get released, it'll break down, all the organic things happen. So you need to give this this kind of mulching 2, 3, 4 months, longer the better, before you seed it. But if you come in here and seed, I've been on a bunch of jobs that we've done, even if they don't seed, there's grass growing back in and people are mowing it and it looks like the rest of their yard. But again, I just feel like I'm repeating myself. It has to be done correctly, and that's why we took so much time to change our mulching heads, to mess with our machines, with all different kind of things that I'm not really going to go in and say what we're doing. But it is not hype, it's not a gimmick. I mean, look at the job. Like I said, guys, look at our work and not our words. We take pride in what we do. I love what I do. And if you want to do it once and you want to do it right, call us 931-446-6056 or visit our website, allterrainlandclearing.com. Sorry for the long-windedness, but I just want to get you guys up to speed. So long for now. Bye.